Buongiorno. Buongiorno. Italy is full of wonderful things and they're known for lots of quality in this world. Whether we're talking about soccer, some good coffee, pizzas, pastas, whatever, well, Italians really nail it. Not to mention history and wonderful places. When it comes to metal so much, not so much. That is none of my favorite bands, whether we're talking about thrash metal, black metal, death metal and beyond, none of them really come from Italy. There are exceptions to every rule, of course, but unfortunately today's band is not one of them. This is Infernal Angels with their latest album, Shrine of Black Fire. I like the title, gotta say, but when it comes to the cover, I think it's a mess and already showing why this album is, in my opinion, quite uninspired. I'm not gonna hate this band for any of the reasons mentioned, however, but I'm just pointing out this is one of those albums which might not be your cup of tea unless you are in for some kind of a diluted version of second wave black metal. Why I'm showing you this back side of the booklet is that only one member is original one, Gzes, doing vocals. The rest, newer ones. Couple of members from 2015 or so and a couple from 2022. So this band has gone through a lot of lineup changes. A lot, considering that this band has been there for 20 years or 21 years now. It's more like this band has enough ex-members worth, I don't know, almost 10 bands. Why there has been so many lineup changes and how it has affected the band, can't really tell. But it seems something is wrong with the band and I think the result is here very audible. Now, make no mistake, there are always fans for each and every band and this is no mistake. I know people are gonna love it, at least some people, but I'm predicting there will be a lot of people who will just find it quite lukewarm, quite mediocrity, in addition to me. Like said, this ain't no bad apple, but this is not one of those sweet and, well, good ones either. So let's tune in for band's Metal Archive side while I'll tell you a little bit more about the album and the band. So as you can see, this band has been out there since 2002 when it started with when it was existing with a different name. Soon demos followed, EP and album. So now we're album number 6. And this kind of showcases you the band has been active throughout the years. Like basically every 3 years, with the exception here, 5 years, the band has been putting out a new album, which I guess should be good. I mean, you know, the band has been active and all that stuff. But like pointed out, a lot of member changes with the lineup. So here you can see original member, the vocals 2002, rest 2015, 2022. And if you take a look at this past members list, like, I mean, it's vast, it's big. Now, this might be or might not be the reason why this album is not exactly a great quality. The thing here is, throughout this almost 44 minutes of music, the whole feeling is this is equivalent to whatever Metallica, Iron Maiden, or in some cases Judas Priest and the like has been doing. That is not exactly their premium moment anymore compared to what they used to be. Or you could put it this way, this is like Italian Satyricon, not actually as inspired, as interesting how it was in the early years. Nevertheless, the drummer is really good. That applies to both bands, that is. Now, that is about the similarities about Infernal Angels and Satyricon. They are not like one another, but there are pointers which I can kind of show you, and this is one of them. Now, this album starts, you know, very nicely with fast drumming and already showcasing that this drummer is for real, and I gotta like his style a lot. I think that's one of the really good plus things on this album. But apart from that, everything here seems like it's almost like falling apart. Now, there are plenty of reasons why I'm not a big fan of this album, even though, like I said, it's not a bad one. Now, first of all, after the good start, everything seems to be like, I don't know, falling apart a little bit. First of all, the tempo is most of the time, well, not exactly fast, even though there are faster parts, but it seems like this album could really take the benefit of being a lot more aggressive than it is. Even though nowadays, there are now here and there are parts where it gets like really fast and fierce, it doesn't really help. It doesn't really help that also that a lot of these riffs are very basic. It's almost like taking the leftovers from a lot of bands and trying to put it together and like, hey, it's gonna fly. No, unfortunately, instead of being filled with killers, this is filled with fillers. And a lot of these riffs are like, why are you doing that that kind of riff there. It's not like they're outright bad, but it's more like why I'm listening to this kind of stuff. On the top of that, the production, it's kind of okay. I mean, maybe better than, pure mediocrity, but not really good. That is to say, the album doesn't get the support from the production as it should be. I mean, if it was a little bit more powerful and all that stuff, maybe even those filler riffs would sound something more like powerful. Which gets us to the topic of vocalist. The vocalist might be the original member, but unfortunately he isn't really good. I mean, it's not like he has raspy, strong, throaty way, or high-pitchy, screamy, fierce, shrieking type. It's more like semi-growling here and there, or semi-screaming, and none of that is really good. It's more like, are you even trying? Don't get me wrong, they are not bad, but they are less than mediocrity, in my opinion, less than average black metal vocals, and I feel they are very, very uninspiring. I want more because I'm used to having powerful vocals in so many different ways, mind you. It's not like one style is going to fit me. Whether we're talking about early Danny Field style, or we're talking about Dark Throne's Panzerfaust style, or Burzum Vikernes style, or Bathory, Celtic Frost, there's so many good vocalists out there, and when you just compare this to them, you're like, don't even bother. Now, they are not properly growling, they're not properly shrieking or screaming or being their raspy ones, so I find them quite uninspiring. Not outright bad, but something like as if they're rehearsal versions of what could be, the demo versions. Now, when it comes to individual riffs, like I said, most of them are kind of like fillers. Like in some kind of a different context, they might do their job, but when you have like filler after one another, you kind of like, there is no contrast. So it doesn't help whether they're like faster and fiercer parts when nothing really interesting is happening. So all I'm saying is, this is kind of a 6 out of 10 album for the reasons mentioned. It's almost like listening to latest Iron Maiden albums. You're like, okay, this sounds like Iron Maiden, but doesn't mean it's like good like back in the 80s. And I could go on with a bunch of bands, whether we're talking about black metal, death metal, thrash metal, doom metal, or heavy metal for that matter. This doesn't change the fact that this album is kind of a mediocrity. Of course, you have to have mediocre albums in terms of like finding the good ones and the really bad ones. So this is neither bad or not really good. But some people will like it. So I would say this is to something like sales box black metal album. Like if you're gonna find it for $4, maybe it's like, okay, I'm gonna get a filler for my record collection, find something new before you get bored and sell it again. I don't know, but of course you're gonna make up your own mind, check out the samples, maybe you will love it, maybe you will tell me I'm totally wrong and it's fine. Maybe it's better if you get to like it while I don't. I can only wish I liked it as much as the next guy. But there it is, Infernal Angels review. Don't be a hater, give it a chance, and I hope you like it. Thanks and bye-bye.